Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. All of the nerds back together. I had a brief break for a holiday, and we're back. We're talking about some cricket quite briefly because there's just so much going on in the IPL at the moment. The table is still so log jammed that, as of recording, still anybody could win. Now, as we speak right now, Sunrisers are trying to chase 189 that Gujarat Titans set, and they are currently 129 for 8, requiring 60 off 16 balls with Bhuvi and Mayank Markande in. So probably not every team can qualify anymore, but and we know that Delhi have been knocked out, but we're just going to run through, talk about some of the most sort of interesting things that we've experienced over this weekend of cricket. And yeah, it's just good to be back. So the first kind of ones we had on Saturday were Sunrisers Lucknow and Punjab versus DC. Sunrisers Lucknow was interesting for me because Sunrisers once again managed to sort of snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Jaws of victory.
And it seems to be like a running theme, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think when you look at a team like Sunrisers, it's quite similar to Lucknow Supergiants in terms of the makeup of it. Like they rely quite a lot on a couple of their Indian batters. Sunrisers, especially at the top, when you think of Lucknow with people like Deepak Huda, Ayush Badoni, players like that, they have to perform. Otherwise, they're relying on a couple of overseas doing all the work. But yeah, I think the way Lucknow have performed has shown a lot more confidence, and their overseas players have performed a lot better than Sunrisers, because Sunrisers players like Harry Brook, Aidan Markram, Glenn Phillips, they haven't had great seasons. It's only Heinrich Klaasen who's really stood out for them. Whereas Lucknow, you think about how well Kyle Mayers has done, how well Poran's done, how well Stoinis has done. Those overseas signings are making the difference, and why they're doing really well in the table at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I don't think there's much more to say about Sunrisers and Lucknow, because that's pretty much summed up their season so far.
Just for sure.
One team's overseas has really performed, the others haven't, and it just hasn't gelled. So we'll move on. Talk about Punjab versus DC, because I've just got a few points to talk about. Obviously, it was a must-win for Punjab, and I'm, as a Punjab Kings fan, very happy that we managed to win. But I think if it was against any other team than Delhi Capitals, we wouldn't have won. The decisions that were made were horrible. And if it wasn't for an absolute standout performance by Prab Simran Singh, we wouldn't have managed it. So we lost Shikhar Dhawan very early in the power play, and we sent in Liam Livingstone. And I didn't mind, because, you know, if you're looking to capitalize on the power play, Livingstone's opened before in T20s. It was fine. But then when Livingstone went out to a horrible shot, we sent in Jitesh Sharma. And I strongly disagree with that decision. I think that if you're sending Jitesh Sharma in before the 10th over, you've made a mistake. He has shown that he is a specialized finisher. And he can, he will take the game away, because he can go from ball one, and he's had that role definition. And that's a phrase that I think I've said on repeat during this IPL. And then, when that inevitably failed, we sent in Sam Curran, which, fine. Didn't do very well. And then Harpreet Brar, ahead of Shahrukh Khan, Rishi Darwin, and Sikandar Raza.
I think
my brain was just...
the real issue there was the fact that Sikandar Raza came in so late.
Yeah.
Who is a really good player of spin.
He should have been at 3.
Like if Sikandar Raza were coming at maybe 4, because I sort of agree with Livingstone trying to get some impetus back in, smash it around a bit. But if Sikandar Raza would come in instead of Jitesh Sharma, who could be saved, and they could have almost swapped places, and he could have played the finisher role, and Sikandar Raza could have played the anchor role, and I think that would have worked much more in the favour of Punjab Kings. I think the issue in that game for Delhi was actually that their overseas didn't perform again. Like that top 4, they're very reliant now for that top 4 and then Axar Patel, the all-rounder, to really pay off. And it was a rare bad day with the ball for Mitch Marsh, actually, who so far this season has bowled really well.
I jinxed him in my podcast.
Exactly.
In the last podcast, I jinxed him.
Yeah, he just had a bit of a stinker with bat and ball, really. And then I think also Riley Russo didn't need to give his wicket away that way as well. So it was just, again, some silly things from Delhi Capitals that caused pretty much, I reckon, their IPL to be over. As in,
they can't qualify now. And it was, I've got to say, it was tight from the Punjab spinners, which is really nice to see. Finally, like Harpreet Brar being trusted with his full allotment of overs in conditions that suit him. So good decision there.
Yeah.
And Rahul Chahar finally being in the wickets as well was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sikandar Raza bowled a useful over as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I think, again, there's still some issue with decision-making from Shikhar Dhawan that we're seeing, which is, I don't know whether he's just like obsessed with left-hand, right-hand combinations or what it is, but when players are doing well, that he's not quite bowling them the right amount of overs. Like Sikandar Raza bowled a beautiful over, and there was still like plenty of overs to come. Spin was obviously working, and it was against some lower order batters. I would have been very happy to see Sikandar Raza carry on bowling. You don't need to bowl like Arshdeep Singh through just because he bats at 11.
Yeah,
and that's something that I think Punjab just need to grow in. Hopefully, we can win the next game, which is also against Delhi. But it was just a bit sketchy. Scared of Warner as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Let's move on, because I know Zach is absolutely itching to talk about this next game, because it was Sunday morning for us, Sunday afternoon for Indians. Rajasthan versus RCB. Zach, how do you feel?
Oh, it's a very good win for us for multiple reasons. For one, it's going to give us a lot of confidence moving into the last stage of the tournament. It also gave us, the fact that we won by so much has given us a positive net run rate, which is also very important at this stage of the tournament. It meant that we leapfrogged Rajasthan in terms of their net run rate as well, and that could have been an issue if we tie on points at the end. So there were lots of good things. And also, I think we got our selection right in this game, and it was a brave selection. We decided to replace Hasaranga, who was probably our standout bowler last season, for Michael Bracewell, to give us that extra bit of hitting down the order, which we need. We need that momentum. And also, they swapped out Hazelwood for Wayne Parnell. Hazelwood hasn't done that well in the last few games. I think he's had 1 or 2 good games for us. But bringing in Wayne Parnell, he also provides a bit of hitting down the order. So I thought it was a good choice. And those two ended up bowling incredibly well as well to get Rajasthan out for 59, which is a very low total indeed. But for me, I just think that Faf du Plessis and Glenn Maxwell, their runs are key to RCB at the moment. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah,
I think they're incredibly reliant on those. We've known it for a little while. It's the consistency, though, that is mind-blowing. Like, you can pretty much count on Faf du Plessis getting you between 30 and 60 runs every single game as a minimum. And that is unbelievably valuable. And somebody like Kohli can afford, in a way, to trundle along at a very meager strike rate, because you've got that hitting of Glenn Maxwell, who can put the impetus in. Look, RCB's weaknesses, without a doubt, the lower order. Dinesh Karthik not really coming to the party is a big problem, but it's really good to see Anuj Rawat potentially being a succession plan. And seeing he's been given the gloves, he's finishing a little bit better now. So potentially they're seeing that as the succession plan for DK, and DK might be moving into the commentary box next season.
Well, Anuj Rawat had a very good game. He took a really good catch, and he got an inspired run out where he just tapped the ball in between his legs. It was brilliant to watch. But Benj, do you want to sum up Rajasthan's batting performance?
Weak.
I'd say soggy, personally.
Limp.
Soggy.
Limp, like a limp lettuce leaf. It just wasn't very good. It wasn't very good at all. I think, DK being subbed out. What did you think about that? Because he obviously wasn't given the gloves. Was he injured by the end of it? Like, clearly there's something that's not quite right with him, because he was subbed out for Shabazz Ahmed, who didn't bowl. So
yeah, I
it
think
was
he's
just-
I
yeah.
think he's been slightly ill of late. I remember, I think it was the last game or the game before, he actually batted quite well. He came off the pitch, was retching.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's in a good spot. But obviously he's quite an experienced member of that side, so he's going to want to play. But yeah, it's a shame that Shabazz Ahmed didn't get to bowl, because that was the perfect opportunity for him to get back into things. Really.
Exactly. And you know, if Glenn Maxwell, not Glenn Waxwell, but that was awful.
Maxwell.
If Dinesh Karthik, not sure where that came from, if Dinesh Karthik does end up playing again next season and gets dropped by Delhi, he'll just get picked up by CSK, because he'll now fall into the age bracket that's acceptable
that's
for
so
CSK.
true.
Now that Dhoni's going to retire next year, so that's obviously what's going to happen, isn't it?
They're eyeing up PS Chawla as well, and a few others.
I wouldn't mind about PS Chawla, to be fair. He's running wickets upon wickets,
and he's younger than Kohli. So there we go.
Oh, yeah.
I think they'll be getting Gary Sobers as an overseas at some point.
Anyway, with talking about CSK, it was a bad day yesterday for CSK. I think CSK were about 60 runs short. Maybe not 60 runs short, maybe more like 20, 30 runs short, because it was just a very poor batting performance across the board. Very slow, I think, from sort of Ambati Ride, who got a bit tied up. Ruturaj Gaikwad looked okay, but then didn't really need to get out. Devon Conway played a smelly innings, I would say. That was a classic. Conway's such a two-dimensional player, where he either plays an absolute blinder of a match-winning innings, or it's very smelly. Marinelli, not too pleased about. The one thing I was really happy with was actually Shivam Dubé, because he looked like he was giving it a smack, and he seemed to be the only one who was really like pushing. A bit of a cameo from Ajinkya Rahane, but then he didn't stay around long enough to really have an impact on the game. But yeah, I think all in all, it was just a bit of a subpar performance from Chennai with the bat.
Watching it live was really entertaining, because Ravi Jadeja, he just couldn't hit anything. If his role is finisher, he's very, very poor at it. And it meant that every dot that he played, he was getting booed. And then when he went out, the cheers from the Chennai Stadium were absolutely
Well, that's because they knew
insane.
Dhoni was coming in.
Exactly. And every time Dhoni like flashed up on the big screens in the stadium, the sound was deafening, and it was brilliant. So Dhoni just needs to bat himself up the order more, doesn't he? Like, he needs to just cope with the fact that he has no knees and just stand there and smack it, because Jadeja, he's really struggling.
I would say two things with CSK before we talk about today's games is that Jadeja either needs to come in and bat earlier at 4 or 5 and play a longer innings, or he needs to drop beneath Dhoni in the order. That's what I think on it.
They need to get rid of Ambati Raidu. He's done nothing this season. He's passed his sell by date, really, I think. Some people might think it's a bit harsh, but he's not playing as well as he did last season. And I think Ajinkya Rahane kind of is starting to fulfill that Ambati Raidu role of just come in to have a go. Even though I do think teams are starting to understand that Rahane's impact was more of a surprise thing. But I agree, Jadeja should be batting higher. Because he looked awful, and you need to give MS Dhoni about 5 overs. That's what he needs to be giving himself. But KKR, the way they responded, I know they lost their wickets early, but Nitish Rana, the captain, steadied the ship. Rinku Singh finished it off, and they didn't need to take any risks. It was such a low total that they could just play well and block out the good bowlers and rotate strike, which is what they did perfectly.
I thought it was a very it was a compact win from KKR. And it was nice to see Narayan back in the wickets and with a low economy. Like, it just feels like T20's normal again when Narayan's bowling well. So now, finally, on to today's match, which, as we're speaking, has just finished. Sunrisers have fallen short. It was not a great performance, if we're completely honest, from Sunrisers.
Heinrich Klaasen again.
Yeah, Heinrich Klaasen, the only one that can actually hit anything. He hit a very good 64. Mayank Markande, a notable 18 off 9. But when he's like your second best batter, it's a bit naff, isn't it? So yeah, Shubman Gill, beautiful century, and that'll probably be the title because he's just the next best thing for India, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I was thinking today, and maybe leave it in the comments what your India 11 is going to look like for the next T20 World Cup, because the beautiful thing about the IPL is you see all these young Indian players that are coming through. And I was thinking like a top 3 that is Gill, Jaiswal, and Gaikwad. That sounds pretty exciting to me. I like the look of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One thing I do want to talk about is the lack of fight from the tail from Gujarat today. I think Bhuvi's fifer was beautiful thing to watch. It was a death bowling masterclass. I love a 20th over picking up 3 wickets. That's a
team
classic
hat trick.
That's a classic Benji. That is. Picking up
yeah,
all those wickets
Bhuvi bowled really well, and so did Shami. So it was and Mohit Sharma as well. Actually, they both shared 4 wickets each. So it was a day for the bowlers, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's. I think when you look at the Gujarat batting, they were going at over 10 and over for the first 17 overs. So for them to be restricted to 188 for 9, when you think about the batting might of that Gujarat middle to lower order, is just the Sunrisers actually did really well, but their batting has been letting them down all season, and it happened again today. So yeah, a good win from Gujarat, which from someone who's one of those teams in the middle of the table, I'm quite happy because it means that Sunrisers aren't really one of those teams that are now affecting teams like Royal Challengers Bangalore for myself, Punjab Kings for James, Chennai Super Kings pretty much home and dry, especially if they win their next game.
Need one win.
But it's looking very close. So we're going to continue to bring you content because this IPL, we're not bored of it because it's been epic and it's promising to be a really good finish. So stick around. Remember to like the video. If you don't like the video, you're not going to average more than 5 this season with the bat. Make sure to subscribe, tell your friends, follow us on social media. The link tree is in the description below, and we look forward to seeing you next time.